So you've been trying to nail those first touches, but can't seem to do it consistently. Don't worry, I was much the same not too long ago. Hey, I'm Jack, your friendly neighborhood Rocket League player that loves a cheeky game of Rumble. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can master your first touches. I'll split the video up into these sections on the screen now. Let's get into it. The term first touch comes from the sport Rocket League is based off of, football or soccer, if you want to call it that. Why is a first touch important in soccer? In soccer, to be in control of the ball is of great importance to every level of player. The ability to control an awkward bouncing ball quickly and effectively gives the player with the ball the immediate advantage. The first touch is often the difference between success and failure in most situations during a match. As you see in these brief clips, soccer players aren't quick to give away possession of the ball. This exact same principle applies to Rocket League. The first touch allows you to take control of the game. I'm a firm believer that the player with the ball has control of the game in Rocket League. It's vital to get a controlled first touch so you can take control of what happens next. If you are unable to take control of the ball quickly and effectively, your opponents will likely capitalize by taking possession from you. Getting the right first touch also allows you to set up your next play. No matter if it's an air dribble, a flick, a bump play, or clearing the ball from defense, your first touch will influence its success. Essentially, it influences what happens next in the game. Get an amazing first touch? Perfect. You're on your way to getting that air dribble over your opponents. Get a poor first touch? Watch out for your opponents who may take possession from you. Next up, I'm going to talk about some common mistakes made by players when trying to nail that first touch. I'll also try and talk about a variety of mistakes both in offense and in defense when it comes to your first touches. One of the most common first touch mistakes that every player makes is hitting the ball as soon as there's an opportunity to do so. Just because there's an opportunity to boom the ball down the field doesn't mean you have to take that option. You could, for instance, get a soft first touch to take possession of the ball to set up a play. That could be a pass to your teammates or trying to set up a flick over the opponents. What this is doing is essentially letting your opponents take the advantage to get possession of the ball and to set up the next play in the game, giving them control of the ball, all because you decided to boom the ball down the field. The next mistake is getting a heavy touch on the ball. Now this can apply to a variety of settings, like setting up air dribbles, chipping the ball in front of you, and so on. The first touch needs to be controlled and concise in order for the next play to work successfully. When you get a hard first touch, it's hard to maintain control of the ball. I'll take chipping the ball as an example here. If you get a really hard first touch, you may hit the ball further than you needed to, and as a result, you may use more boost in order to maintain control of it. It also may put your opponents in a position to take advantage of that, whether that's winning the challenge against you, or even worse, taking possession of the ball. This actually leads me into my next mistake I notice, and that is having too much momentum. First touches require a little finesse. If you are packing too much momentum into your first touch, you'll likely give up possession or be unable to take control of the ball. A common example of this I see on the field is when a player is trying to speed up to catch the ball as it lands, then having the ball bounce right off their car because they're going at the speed of light, and before the player can even think, the opponent is already in the air ready for an aerial. Stick around for the next part of the video where I show you how you can improve on this. The next mistake is taking your first touches across the goals. Now, I'm not saying hitting the ball across the goal is a no-no here, but for many that struggle with their first touches, a poor first touch across your goal can be a golden chance to get yourself scored on. Remember, the corners are your best friend whenever trying to relieve pressure on defense. And if you're game enough to make your first touch across the goal, be sure that you have control of the ball. And the last mistake I have noted down here is not having a purpose when hitting the ball. Do you ever get to that point in Rocket League where you're just playing to play the game, when everything just turns to autopilot? This is what I mean here. If you have no idea what you're trying to do with the ball, it's not going to end well. Before you even take your first touch, you need to actually know what you're trying to achieve. Quickly check your position on the field, the position of your teammates, the position of your opponents, and then use this information to determine what you will do with the ball as you take that first touch. In Rocket League, you want to be playing proactively rather than reactively during a game. Before I start this section, it's important that most of my upcoming tips are to help you get the feel for solid first touches. That's one of the beauties with Rocket League being a physics-based game. There are many micro movements that go into making the perfect first touch. First is nailing the catch of the ball. This is where you position your car underneath the ball to catch it to make the next play. This can apply in defense when your opponents decide to clear the ball, or even in offense when your teammate decides to give off a pass to you. And to train this, I like to use this training pack by Virge. You'll find that you can work on your catches in the later half of this training pack. I find this pack rather effective in knowing how much momentum I need when trying to catch the ball. I'll leave the training pack code down in the description below. My next tip is is to line your car up with the ball. Let's take setting up an aerial for an example. In an aerial off the wall setting, it's ensuring your car is lined up behind the ball when driving it towards the wall. You need to focus on your speed and momentum to ensure you're matching the speed of the ball as you go up the wall. A simple drill here is hopping into free play and driving the ball up the wall. You can also apply this tip when you're going to catch the ball. When you're going to catch it, it's ensuring your car is positioned directly where the ball is going to land. And as I mentioned before, using Virge's pack will help you with this. Next up is to learn the hitbox of your car. This is particularly important for when you're making your first touch on different parts of your car, usually the front half of it. A drill I like to use here is chipping the ball up on the sides of your car when dribbling. You'll get to see how the ball reacts to the different parts of your hitbox. You can also do this drill at speed when making a power slide cut to take possession of the ball. Another tip is to create distance between you and the ball. This mainly applies to first touches when setting up any aerial play off the wall. A simple tap of the brakes or easing off the throttle to create distance between you and the ball allows for you to drive up the wall matching the speed of the ball. Hey, that actually sounded poetic. Oh yeah, back to the video. And for the last tip, commentating your gameplay. This allows you to think with a purpose as to what you are trying to do with the ball. It also helps feed the available information out on the field to work out what you need to do with the ball to set up your next play. Remember, proactive over reactive. Share a comment down below on other tips you use to improve your first touches in Rocket League. I mean, hey, I'll probably read them and actually try them out in my next training session. This old 25-year-old here still needs to keep up with the young ones in Rocket League these days. So there we have it. This is why I think the first touch is a vital component to your gameplay, as it literally influences everything next that is to happen in the game. It's also something we all continue to improve on as we put more hours into the game, especially as you start to reach the higher ranks and face quality opponents. Well, for the most part. And that's all for today's video, friends. I also hope your Season 9 is going well and you're racking up those season wins to secure those Season 9 rewards that will drop soon. I must admit, they actually look really good this season too, so no complaints here. I'm Jack, and I'll see you next time. Catch up.